You know, there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
Greetings, this is Alex from Stygian Sound and Sordes Dominum, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Hour, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, and as always, I bring you guys and gals awesome interviews. But first, before I introduce our guest, please get out and subscribe to the YouTube page. It's very simple. Just look at BODS Mayhem Hour YouTube. Just click it and subscribe and click on that little notification bell because we got a lot of great stuff coming up for you guys and gals. On today's podcast, I welcome producer Alex Crescioni. He also has a instrumental doom metal band called Sordes Dominum, and I hope I said that correct, but I know I probably said it incorrectly. They will release dual concept EPs entitled Mortalis and Immortalis on June 17th. The band also released their third official music video entitled Mendacium Immortalis. Also check out other videos, and forgive me, Alex, I'm going to try this. What's the second one that came out from you guys?
The second one is called Veracundium.
And then we have the debut video, Exilium.
You got it.
Oh, see, I got at least two or three. So how you doing, man?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking, and thanks for having me on.
Not a problem. So I finally get the guy out here who's produced Siglo's new album, and man, you've done a lot of producing, but now you're doing your own stuff, which is actually pretty cool. I like to see this. So how excited are you for the release of this dual concept EP that's coming out?
I'm very excited. It's been a long work in progress, and we wanted to try and do something a little different just to try and stand out the best we can and offer something a bit more unique. So yeah, they're two EPs releasing at the same time. It's the all same songs on both EPs, but it's with slightly different production, and we can get into the details of that later if you'd like. But yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah, let's get right into that right now. What led to the two concept EPs with the same titles, but a little bit different for each one, kind of like a Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So Mortalis, meaning mortal, obviously. It's the production on that EP is more organic. There's no drum editing. There's no editing of any kind actually on any of the instruments. There are no drum samples, and the synth and orchestral and the atmospheres on that production are a lot lighter. So the idea for this was to offer, metal musicians and fans that are a bit more of the purists, that like kind of the older sounding productions that might sound more live and less hyper produced. So we wanted to give them that option. So Mortalis is more of the mortal sound, meaning human, meaning this is actually what it sounded like when we recorded it. And Immortalis is extremely edited drums, like the modern metal production these days. Like everything is very, very edited, super tight to the grid. Drums are super locked in, guitars, bass, everything is super locked in. And 99.9% of the time on these records, modern records, there's drum samples, meaning the kicks, the snares, the toms, pretty much all the performances are replaced. So it's not the actual sound of the drummer's kit when they played in the studio, it's replaced with other samples. So Immortalis is the hyper immortal, larger than life production. So we wanted to offer the same songs, but with a different spin on it for the more old school purists, metal purists, and for the more new school fans that want that super hyped, hyper produced sound. That's basically it in a nutshell.
Where did the idea come from to create a dual concept EP, and what story you wanted to tell? Because I know a lot of people do concept albums, but where did this come from for you?
Good question. Well, the the process of writing these 4 songs, we wrote them all in order, in the order that they are in on both EPs. And as we progress through the writing, and we noticed that the names of the singles of each song, they kind of tell a story, and we decided to make the release like a concept, basically. So it's kind of referring to what we went through in the past couple of years with the pandemic. The first song, Exilium, which means exile. The second, Verecundium, which means shame. The third, Mendacium, which means lie. And the fifth, Infinitum, which means infinity. So it's basically kind of reflecting on our government and the state of the world in the past 2 years, to summarize it. And we didn't really set out to do it that way. It just kind of happened, and we noticed, well, let's release it as a concept. And since there's no lyrics, it's instrumental. We wanted to let the vibe and the atmospheres and the melody of the orchestral. If you notice in the songs, there's a lot of orchestral melody. There's a lot going on top of the drums, bass, and guitar. So we wanted to leave it open to the listener to interpret it as they wish. But I feel like there's a lot there. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of atmosphere to let them, let the listener just kind of submerge and sink into it.
There is a lot of stuff going on musically in these videos, man. I mean, they crunch. They're good. They have that full force sound, and you can make up your own little thing with it. Anybody who listens to these are good. These are great.
Thank you, man.
I love the darkness. I love how it's got that. And I don't mean this in any disrespect. I mean it's totally in a great nod to you guys. Kind of put you in mind of that, I don't know, like a Transylvania type deal. You got that music going on like that. It's got that weird vampiric vibe to it in a way.
Nice.
Horror stuff. I love that stuff, man.
Thank you.
Kudos to you guys for knocking this out of the ballpark. And in all honesty, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's kind of what we were going for. I'm a big fan of horror movies and soundtrack, and I just love orchestrating like different orchestral instruments like violins, choirs, horns, orchestral percussion. It's such a treat to compose in the studio, and with all these new virtual instruments available, they're just getting better and better. So it's just so much fun it's basically like you're adding a score on top of the music. So it's so much fun, and it's one of my favorite types of music to produce, and just kind of went crazy with it.
I don't want to take away from the interview, but I do have a question for you about producing wise, and we're going to still talk about all this, but you hit something there that kind of made me think about this. With all these little new things, trick of the trade that you can add to these albums and stuff, do you think it kind of takes away from the authenticity of it though? Because when you go on tour, you know what I'm saying? It's like, well, you hear this in a song, and it's like you don't hear it live. You know what I mean? It's like, what happened? You know what I'm saying? It kind of like takes that natural authenticity away from it in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. What most bands do that have, orchestral backing tracks or orchestral production on top of their stuff. Most of these bands, if they do perform it live, it's all in the backing track. So unless you're a band like Demon Borgir that can afford a 100-piece orchestra live, which they have done. I don't know if you're a fan of them, but they have a lot of orchestral stuff going on in their records, and they did this outstanding production live orchestral performance on top of the band, and it was at least 100-piece orchestra, and it was fantastic. But unless you're a band like them that can pull that off and have the budget to do it, most of the bands they have backing tracks going live.
Has this been something you've been wanting to do for a while? Will we see a part 3 to this story possibly? You're just going to wait and see what happens?
Yeah, we do. We have another one in the works that's going. I don't know. We're still talking about the details, but we're talking about doing the next single is just going to be its own EP. It's going to be like a 20-minute, epic one song, but traveling through different atmospheres. So the first EP, they're about 30 minutes in length. So we were thinking about doing the follow-up release is going to be a single, but it's going to be about 20 minutes, maybe more. So we were thinking about throwing that up, maybe doing a vinyl and another CD for that, just to do something a little bit different. But yeah, that's something that we're talking about as well.
Because I know a lot of bands that do that. They'll have the saga and it keeps on going and going and going. And then, you know, it finally ends after like 4 or 5 albums. I'm like, wow, that's a cool thing actually, in a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know if you had something in the works like that. You want to keep on going with this story, or just stop and maybe create something else later on down the road with this.
Yeah, we might keep going, but as of now, we're still discussing the details of that.
Could we see a vocal album from you at some point, possibly, even besides concept albums? Or you want to do something like that maybe down the road, possibly?
For this project, for Sordes Dominum, we're trying to brand it strictly instrumental, because, you know, the drummer and the bass player and myself, we've all been in different projects, and we've done different bands over the years, and we're all used to, you know, having a vocalist in our band. So we figured we wanted to try something a little bit different for this project, to make it just something to make it stand out. Because like already the feedback we've gotten is, you know, there's people that really like instrumental music, and there's some specific doom metal bands that are instrumental. Suno, for an example, I don't know if you've heard of them, but also, you know, a big, really popular instrumental band, Animals as Leaders. I mean, they're not doom, but they're, you know, progressive shred. But we're just trying to do something a little bit outside the box and keep this instrumental, and just get really crazy with the orchestrations, and so that the music can stand alone on itself, by itself, without like our goal is to basically, when a new fan sees us live or hears the record, our goal is to have them maybe think or say, oh, well, like there's no vocalist, but I wasn't missing a vocalist. You know what I mean? Like it completes the picture for them without vocals.
Has this gave you like a fresh breath air, man, doing the instrumental from what you normally do? Because I know you produce a lot, but does this allow you to maybe just step away and finally have just, you know, something else to do for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's my passion project. You know, like you're right. I do work with a lot of different bands, and I have over the past 15 years. I've been doing this for a bit now, and I love working with vocalists, and I love vocals in metal, obviously, and all music. But this is just something new we wanted to try, and yeah, it is a breath of fresh air. Absolutely.
What led the track Exilium to be the first track released off this EP, man? What was it about that song that said that has to be the one coming out swinging?
Well, it's pretty simple. We just decided to make the track listing the order in which we wrote each song. That's about it. Because we've you know, if you listen to it in order, if you listen to the whole thing all the way through, you can hear, you know, how the songs evolve and they kind of build. And the first song is long, and it's slower, it's longer, and there's not as much going on. The second one builds a little bit. The third one is more like doom drony, and the fourth one is like has a lot of different parts, and it's a little bit more technical musically. So we just wanted the record to build and evolve to the climax, basically.
So Alex, these tracks, are these all brand new, or these been stored away for a while that you finally put out of the vault? Are these like original riffs and stuff like that? Let's talk about that a little bit.
They're all new. They're all since we started this project in 2020. Yeah, they're all 2021. I think 2020. Yeah, they're all new. We just got together and rehearsed and jammed out, and yeah, this is just a product of, you know, 3 musicians playing together and writing songs together. And I took the riffs and brought them into the studio, and we recorded drums, bass, guitars, and then I just kind of expanded with the synths and orchestral parts, and just let it evolve. Has
the pandemic helped you to take more time to be more creative on the EP, or maybe even producing albums? I know that you, like you said, you've done a lot, but has the pandemic helped you out possibly?
You know what? It helped me out in a way, because more musicians were, you know, they're in the zone to work and to get these projects done. So for me, it didn't really affect me. It actually, I became more busy in the result for the pandemic, because yeah, just a lot more artists and bands were just jonesing to get their stuff going. And it's like, I have all this time, I'm not touring, so I want to finish that record I've been putting off, or like I have all these ideas I want to get them recorded. So it actually created a lot of work for me. So yeah, it definitely changed things, but for the better.
Any tracks that didn't make these EPs we're going to see on another album or an EP down the road, possibly? Do you have any stored back? Maybe.
We haven't, these are the first 4 songs we've ever written together. So no, we don't have anything else that we left off or that we decided not to use on the record. These are the songs we have as of now.
Any tracks stand out more to you than any right now? I know these are your babies, Alex. I know that. But do you have any that stick out for you possibly on this 4-track EP on each of these?
Yeah, I think probably the last one, Infinitum, because it's just a bit more, it travels through different realms. And the first 3 songs, they're kind of more droney and they evolve, but they're a little bit slower. And this last song, it travels through a lot of different emotions and technicalities. So I would say the last track, Infinitum.
Was there a track that you guys were working on that totally ended up sounding different than it was intended to? Was there one that just maybe changed a couple times or took a totally different direction?
Yeah, I would say Mendacium, Immortalis, the new video. That song, when we were writing it in rehearsal, we were trying like to make it a little bit more complicated than it turned out. So we kind of just let it be more simple. And if you notice that middle section of the song, it's just a riff that repeats for a while, and then it changes from like a rhythm guitar part to like a tremolo paced guitar part, and we kind of jam on that riff for a while. So there's like the intro riff, there's like the middle section long doomier riff, then the outro riff. So that song turned out a little bit more simple than we had planned, but we kind of just chose to keep it a bit more simple. So it's I feel like it's a little more catchy, and that melody is more memorable because we were trying to just kind of overthink it and overdo it. So we decided to simplify it.
Who did the album cover art on these albums?
This is by an artist named Gogo Malone. She's in Switzerland, and she's done a lot of killer metal albums. She did Siglos's first single as well. So yeah, she's really great.
Did she get exactly what you guys are working on? I mean, did she, just have to work with her a lot, or did she just get it and knock it out?
Well, actually, she had this done already. Like, I've known about her for a long time, and she has a website where she has a lot of artwork available that she's already completed, and some that maybe she completed for other artists, and they ended up not using it. So she just has a gallery on her website with available artwork. So we saw this one, and I sent it to the band member. I was like, what do you think about this? And we were like, yeah, we felt like it really embraced the sound of the EP. So we went ahead and we grabbed that from her. But yeah, she originally had, the original version was the Mortalis version with the green. And then we asked her to do a second version, just slightly different for Immortalis. So yeah.
I know you've been doing this for a very long time, Alex, but what's the growth musical you've seen from yourselves working on these EPs? Man, if anything, has anything grown more or stuck out more to you possibly that you've seen from yourself or your bandmates?
Yeah. I think everyone, Jorden and Zander, Jordan's the drummer, Zander's the bassist. They both really stepped up musically and, really giving their input and ideas for these 4 songs. And, I've known them for a long time before we even started this project, and I've known all the music and projects they've done before this. And I just feel like they put their heart and their soul into this project, into this EP, and they really stepped up. And we all like really love it, because not only because we love the music, but because we worked on it together. And so seeing that was really nice. And I think I just pushed myself a bit to make the productions just, every record I do, I just try to be better and better. I think that's what most producers aim for, is the latest album or single that you do, you want it to be the best. So I really pushed myself to make it sound good for me, because I'm very picky. I'm very I overanalyze, and I think that's pretty common for most of us musicians and producers, mixers, etc. So I just wanted to get it to a point where I was happy with it, because I know if I'm at least happy with it, then it'll resonate with others, more or less. So yeah, we all really pushed ourselves on this one.
What do you hope everyone takes away while listening to these new EPs once it gets out there and they finally get these in their hands? What do you hope they get from it, man?
I just the goal is after they listen to it, just to take them to another realm, to let their imagination run wild, to basically like be engulfed in like whatever their favorite horror movie is, to like feel like you're a part of the atmosphere, like you're a part of the film or the imagery you've created in your head, to basically just let yourself go and just become a part of the music, become a part of the atmosphere and the arrangements.
Are you wanting to take this out on the road or no right now? What's your thoughts on that? What do you want to do?
We are we just confirmed there's a festival in Salt Lake City. It's called Crucial Fest, and it's a lot of different metal bands, a lot of doom metal bands. So we're gonna be playing that August 26th. It's a Friday night in Salt Lake City. It's at the Metro Music Hall, so that is confirmed. That'll be our first show, and from there we're gonna see where it goes. But yeah, we do want to take it live and had fun with it and just deliver crushing heaviness.
I know you've had a lot of music growing up, man. I know you still do to this day that you go back and listen to. But do you still have that go-to album or song that you find yourself going back to and listen to that you just cannot kick out? You have to listen to it eventually.
Yeah, I would say the Korn self-titled album for sure, because that's what changed a lot for me musically. So yeah, I do revisit that. That's probably one of the top 5 for sure.
What was it about that album, man, that just still sticks with you? It's just the whole producing was the whole start from start to finish of the album.
Yeah, that, but mainly the guitar tones, because that was the first time I heard a 7-string guitar, and that totally changed the whole trajectory of my career. Because before that, it was, I was listening to like Green Day and Blink-182 and stuff like that. It was like being introduced to like heavy distorted guitars, and then I heard I can't remember how I discovered them, but when I heard that first record and the way those low tuned fuzzy 7-string guitars sounded, I just flipped out, and it changed everything for me. So that is the record that I do revisit.
You're right, man. When those 7-string guitars came in, even Fear Factory, God almighty, it changed it. I mean, it took metal to a different platform, in my opinion. Changed the game.
Absolutely. Yeah, Fear Factory is another one. Great band.
Alex, my friend, how could folks stay in touch with you, buy some merchandise of what you're doing right now with this new band? New singles, EPs, everything. How can they do that, sir? We have a website. It's sordesdominum.com, SORDESDOMINUM.com. And on there we have our website or our web store. So if you'd like to purchase digipacks, you can grab it there. We have our shows on there. We have all the videos also on Instagram at Sordes Dominum, Facebook Sordes Dominum, and my personal website is alexcrescioni.com if you'd like to work in any productions, mixing or mastering. And yeah, that's about it. Alex, before I let you go, my friend, would you care to do a promo for my show? Yeah, no problem. Greetings, this is Alex from Stygian Sound and Sordes Dominum, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour. Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour. Get out and check out our Facebook page. There's our podcast link and our YouTube link. And like I said earlier, don't forget to subscribe to that YouTube link, because we got a lot of great stuff coming up for you guys and gals. A lot of great interviews. Have a lot of great people on here, just like Alex, who's busting their asses to do what they do and to get their music out there. Hit that little bell to be notified every time, and I would truly appreciate it. I know everybody comes on this show will appreciate it. Get out and check out Sordes Dominum. You will not be disappointed. I'm telling you right now, folks, these 3 tracks they got out right now, these videos are freaking amazing. Amazing music these guys are creating right now. So Alex, wish you guys nothing but the best of luck, my friend. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate you having me on. And yeah, like I wanted to say too, I really enjoy your podcast. I listen to a lot of your back catalog, and I dig it. It's great. So thank you so much. Thank you, my friend. That means so much to me, honestly. Oh, that's awesome. Folks, I just want to say too, I'm affiliated with Metal Incorporated, former Obscure, which is an online magazine who has obscure art, also reviews albums, bands, everything into one. Check that out. And please check out my good buddies, Dan and Josh, who host their podcast called Diary of the Madman, the ultimate Ozzy Osbourne podcast. They know everything about Ozzy, shoe size, what he eats, where he's been. I mean, it's crazy, crazy stuff. But trust me, they know their stuff about Ozzy. Again, Alex, thank you so much. And I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck, my friend. And you're welcome on here anytime you want.
Thank you so much, John. Cheers.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.